Hello, everyone, and this is another short postcard on Touch, episode 41 to 45.
Yeah, it's been a while. We took a long break from doing this because we were doing longer episodes about like anime of the year and winter 2022 first impressions and stuff, but we are back.
Yeah, it actually took us like more than a month and a half, almost 2 months, for getting back to Touch. And my first impression is that that match against Nishimura wasn't finished yet. It's been a long time, so
Yeah. Well, what do we see in 41? We go into extra innings, right?
yeah, we go to extra inning and we see the final outcomes of that.
Yeah. Thankfully, it didn't take another like 2 episodes. That would have been excessive.
Yep, yep. So we have like another we have a fake out that that the team have one home run, but it was disqualified.
Yeah.
I still don't know why. I think it's because one of these who's supposed to do
Go
the
up to bat.
battling. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the rule of baseball that much
Okay. Well,
to understand.
once you set your lineup for a game, you have to send your batters out in that particular order.
Right.
So they messed up, and they sent out what's his name, Nishimura? No, not Nishimura.
Yep.
Kotaro. They sent out
Yep.
Kotaro when it wasn't his turn.
Right. Right. Right.
So they skipped over someone in the batting order,
Yep.
which is
Yep.
not
Yep.
allowed. So
Yeah, that
that
makes
was
sense.
that was really strange. Uh, I can't believe that the coach wouldn't realize and Kotaro wouldn't realize and
Yeah.
the person who he
Everyone.
skipped over in the batting order wouldn't realize. But I guess Adachi just really wanted to write that sort of misdirection into the
Yep.
story, and so he did it in whatever way was available to him.
Yep. Yep. True. Yep. But that's fine. And yeah, I would have expect that Tatsuya will be losing on this one just to like bounce back later on. So yep, no drama at all. I think this is kind of pattern as well when we read a lot of his stuff, his baseball stuff, that like the first one, the first tournament, uh it's not gonna be the one that they would go the farthest.
Yeah, well, you got to go to the Koshien in your final year
Yeah.
as a third year in high school because that's when it's most dramatic. That's when it's do or die. It's your last chance, as it was for the captain of the baseball team.
Right.
This was his last chance, and
Yeah. And
Kotaro blew
Kotaro
it.
become a yeah, and Kotaro become a new captain
Yes,
because of that.
yeah, he does become the captain. And the timing of the tournament. So like I know in Japan the school year starts in spring, like in April I think, because that's when the
Yep.
cherry blossoms bloom, and you always see
Yep.
whenever characters are entering school, like whenever there's a new school year, the cherry blossoms are in bloom. So, but I know the Koshien has a spring tournament and a summer tournament. So I'm not sure what the timeline is exactly. Was this the summer tournament, which would have been the last
I
chance?
I would say like first half of the year and last half of the year.
But I don't think
So
that's how
maybe
I don't think that's how high school baseball works in Japan. There's a spring tournament and a summer tournament. I don't think it's spring and fall.
all right. So maybe I have no idea. Maybe it's spring first and then the summer.
Yeah, so I think we're still relatively early into the current school year.
Yep. Yeah.
But
No, it because the captain had already retired. So I think that is the end of the school year and they graduate
it isn't.
another grade.
I
But
don't
it
think it
isn't.
is.
No, it isn't.
So he
Yep.
just retires and he's like
Maybe he would spend like the second half of the year to like devote himself to study.
probably like entrance exams, yeah. I don't know.
Yep. Yep.
I've done a little bit of reading
Anyway.
up on like when the Koshien is exactly, and I just
Yep.
don't. It's just weird to me that so much there are 2 separate tournaments and they're clustered into one part of the year. I still don't think I totally understand it. So who knows?
Yeah, I think it's like two totally different tournaments.
Yeah, it is.
And then whoever win in that region go to the quotient. So like that to yeah. But that's a lot, like twice every year is a lot.
Yeah. But not this year. Not for Meisei. It's going to have to wait until next year. When Tatsuya... Well, we don't even know if Tatsuya is going to be the pitcher at the Koshien or the tournament next year because we've got Yoshida on the scene.
Yep. It's actually kind of interesting to see that because we know for sure that Tatsuya gonna be the ace pitcher anyway, and I think the series play with a bit of that as well. That he overconfident that Yoshida would never surpass him. But
I mean, Yoshida thinks that he already has because in episode I think it's 43, Nita, that's the one where Nita visits the school for the interview, and he Tatsuya pitches to him a couple times and he hits a couple home runs off of him, and then he flies out when he bats against Yoshida. So I think that's the catalyst for like this weird personality change that Yoshida undergoes, especially in episode 45. When there's the soccer game where he's getting past Tatsuya, who's the defender, and scoring. Dude, the animation of Yoshida kicking the soccer ball into the back of the net and the ball pressing up against the net, spinning for a little bit in place and then falling down. Mm-hmm. It just struck me how much better that looked than like the shots in Futsal Boys, where someone would score and then the ball would go into the back of the net, spin for a while, and fall. Like that same sort of stylized kind of punctuation mark on the end of a goal. It just looks so much uglier in a series from 2022 versus 1985.
You know what? 35 years later, things get worse.
Yeah, I don't get it at all. But
we're going backward.
Yeah. I think Touch was probably one of the series that attracted a lot of stronger animators to work on it. I mean, it's nothing flashy, but you do have characters running, from place to place. There are certainly a lot of like cuts to members of the crowd who are like looking at something with an amazed expression on their face and stuff like that, but like the wind up of a pitcher and the swing of a batter and somebody riding their motorcycle, like Nita riding his motorcycle down the street, or a character running to get to some place in a hurry. That sort of stuff's, it's not really easy to animate. And Touch was like, Adachi was already a fixture of the manga world in Japan by that point. So there were probably a lot of people who wanted to work on the series.
Mm-hmm.
So you got a lot of strong animators who gravitate towards the project. Whereas something like Futsal Boys, maybe not a lot of grade A artists are like, let me get in on that.
Yeah.
They're all just busy working on Chainsaw Man, probably.
Yeah, and in this part of 5 episodes, we see a lot of Nita, specifically, and
not only him but his sister,
and his sister as well. Oh my god, his sister is on the same level of Long in Crunchy Tiger Hidden Dragon.
You mean in terms of brattiness?
Yep.
It's so interesting to me that because we were just doing our movie podcast before this on Triple Cross Cinema, and we were talking about Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Mario said that she was a brat, that one of the characters in that film was a brat, and that kind of made me chuckle because she's like a really, really beautiful and powerful character, and yet she did kind of act spoiled and bratty at times.
Yeah.
But I do think that Yuka is on a whole nother tier when it comes to brattiness.
God.
She pretends to drown. Okay, that right there, in order to get a guy, just to mess with a guy, in order to get him to come down and like rescue her, so that she can chew him out for it afterwards once they get back to shore.
Yeah.
There's no comparison.
Yes. She let him carry her back home as well, but but she has some dignity because she doesn't want her brother to see that.
Right.
So she tell Tatsuya to set her off, like like
A ways away from the house. Yeah.
that's right. And oh my god, and she did a lot of things like oh she actually think Minami gonna be her rival.
Does she? Oh yes, yeah. With regards to
Yeah.
Nita, yeah, because she's got a brother complex, of course. This
Yeah.
is
Oh,
an adaptation of an Adachi manga. So in Cross Game, we had what was it like a cousin or something,
yep.
and in this one we have like a little sister.
God.
But she's a pretty comedic character, so I don't think we have to. We're not at risk
Okay.
of a
Worry about
Nita
it. Yep.
Yuka romance, or are we?
Yeah, but are we? Because actually, I can see that Yoshida have a feeling for her.
Yeah.
So it might be Yoshida, Tatsuya, and
Yuka.
the Nita sister. Yeah, Yuka.
Mm.
Or maybe
That'd be an
or
interesting
maybe she
triangle.
yeah, or maybe she will fall in love with Tatsuya in the future, and we have like the rectangle.
Yeah, I think that's probably more likely.
Yeah.
I mean, because he ends up carrying her home, and
Yeah. Save her from rowing.
right. The guy who she was riding around with, like her squeeze, or
Yep,
whatever
yep,
it
yep.
is, whatever his relationship to her was, he got beat up and like stuck out in the middle of a river, and
Yep.
he got slammed into a wall by one of Harada's punches.
Yep. Poor the boy.
Yeah, too bad for that guy. He just wanted
Yeah.
a redhead girlfriend,
Yeah.
and instead he got soaked to the bone, stranded in the middle of a river because apparently he can't swim.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think this five patch had a lot of important stuff to go on. We do have like a conversation between Minami and Tatsuya in regard to it is an extended conversation on how Tatsuya feel about Minami.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I would say
and,
that's
and
pretty darn important. That conversation was
yep.
important.
And I think he actually being honest to himself on like what he think of their relationship at the moment, and I actually appreciate that he can like talk like let that out.
Yeah. Well, it's apparent that she wants him to.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
he's kind of beating around the bush, and he's like, "Oh, sort of, kind of. Is that what it's like, really?" And she's pissed
Yeah.
off by that, obviously. So he just keeps talking, eventually talks himself into a place of honesty. And specifically, this is episode 42. This is the one where like the whole first half of the episode is dedicated to Nishimura like trying to ask Minami out on a date.
Yep. Yep.
And it just
We still haven't seen that yet.
yeah. Well, we would have if Tatsuya hadn't answered the phone and pretended to be Minami because he misdialed the number.
Yeah.
But specifically like in episode 42, the part of their conversation that's most interesting to me is that after Tatsuya like reflects on what's missing from their relationship, I think he settles on it being distance. Like they just take each other for granted because they've known each other all their lives. There's no separation. There's no period of separation where their feelings for one another will go stronger. Like there's no absence. What the way that Minami responds to that is quite interesting. She says that if there's like on the subject of distance, like if they are ever to grow apart and there's a girl that Tatsuya falls in love with and Minami can't measure up to her, then she'll give him her blessing.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. I don't know what else to say about it than that.
As a childhood friend, that's what she said as well.
Yeah, as your childhood friend, I'll give you my blessing. It, I don't imagine that you'd come across a lot of girls who would say, "Oh yeah, if you find someone better than me, sure, go for it."
Yeah, because I think that makes sense because they are in the middle of like being a friend and being like a lover. They're not officially a lover yet. So as a friend, she would wholeheartedly support him. I think that makes sense.
Yeah, but then she gives him a kiss on the cheek after saying that. It's
Yeah,
almost as though she is like so confident in herself and in
that
her
that
relationship with Tatsuya that she's like, oh yeah, if you find someone better than me, go for it. But
yeah.
she knows that that's not going to happen. I mean, she doesn't say it with like a cocky
I
attitude or anything, but I kind of suspect that
well
that's kind of the place that comes from. Like
yeah.
she's positive that she and Tatsuya are going to be together. That eventually he'll be able to talk himself not only into reflecting honestly on their relationship, but into
Asking her out.
into being together with her. And she's just waiting for that to happen. And she knows that at no point during that time, that period of waiting, will he find someone better or find someone that he loves more.
So that's why I think someone like Nita, the sister, come in would be good, but but not but, but not these characters, not these bratty characters attitude.
Well, I mean, we do have a lot of episodes left to go. You know, it's not
Yeah.
impossible that he would end up attracted to her in some way or another. But yeah, first impression, definitely not the strongest. And not only that, he doesn't. Even though a lot of other characters, like in the universe of the show, she's like a very desirable character. When she goes to visit Meisei's baseball practice, all the guys are like turning and looking at her and being like, "Oh, who is this?"
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but Tatsuya walks in on her while she's changing because he forgot his hat in the bathroom. He does not
yeah,
spare her a second look. He just goes
yeah,
in,
yeah,
gets his
yeah,
hat, turns around, gets out of there. Like
yeah,
it's like he doesn't even notice that she's there with her shirt up over her head.
yeah.
So that happened.
Yep. And she actually appreciated him a bit for that, which I think is weird, but okay.
Do you think she appreciates him for that? I thought she was kind of pissed,
She kind of flush, like
flustered.
her yeah, fluster, like her face actually get a bit red. So
Oh, I didn't notice that.
yeah,
I all she said something to him. She was like, "Hey, what, haven't you ever heard of knocking?"
yeah.
Um, but I kind of get the sense that she was, I don't know, like offended almost.
That he didn't make a big deal out of it.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I know that
But
sounds very strange to say, but the reason that my mind goes there is because that's kind of an anime thing.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
when a guy doesn't like have a nosebleed or whatever after seeing a girl in her underwear, the girl might be like,
yeah,
"Oh wow, so you think I'm just not attractive enough?"
yeah,
Um, it could be that sort of dynamic
yeah.
because I do think
Alrighty.
that she intends to like mess with him. Um, that's why
Uh,
she calls him down to try to save her in the river. And she, help me, I'm drowning, I can't swim. Um, so this would be, I suppose, another situation in which she might be able to get the better of him, but
yeah,
he doesn't give her an inch. Um, so she might be flustered by that.
yeah, yeah. Maybe she's the type who always like receive special attention from others. So for with the guy who doesn't really give a two cent about her, she would be more attracted to that.
Yeah, well, she might be because her brother is the same way.
Yep, yep, yep.
He's
True.
always like brushing her off and telling her, "Hey, don't do that. You're my sister. Don't be jealous of some girl."
Uh,
Uh, and it was interesting. She's just straight up says, "Yeah, I'm not interested in any other guys because the boy that I'm closest to is too handsome."
yep.
And
Yeah.
then he asked for a book to put over his face.
I I actually love the fact that the brother just asked her to give me a book. Any book
Right.
would do. And then she thought, and I thought that he gonna read something, and then he just sleep.
He puts it over he covers up his handsome face so that she won't have a reason to not to like be interested in guys her own age or who are not part of her family. I really like that scene a lot because it plays like that. The whole ending of that episode plays with her relationship with her brother. It's not just doing that; it's establishing her character because we've seen her before this. But episode 43 is where we learn, I think, for the first time that she is Nita's sister. Before this, we've seen her hanging around Nita, and the assumption is that she's his girlfriend, or a girl who likes him, or is close to him, or whatever. And in even near the end of episode 43, when she's waiting by his bike, she's there, and your first thought is, oh, so this is his girlfriend that he's been neglecting while he's been off playing around, doing this interview with another girl, Minami. Then you realize, no, she's his sister. Then you realize, oh, she's got a brother complex. And then you realize, when she hands him the book, Minami's picture falls out. And you understand that even though Nita is playing it cool, he actually really does like Minami. So there's a lot of like small evolutions of your understanding of both Yuka and Nita in those scenes, which I think is it's pretty well constructed. The end of that episode.
Yeah, I would say that the next plot development we're gonna get is between the triangle between Nita, the brothers, Minami and Tatsuya. Especially Minami and Nita that Tatsuya will get jealous of. And then about Tatsuya and Yoshida fighting for the picture.
Yeah. Yeah, Yoshida is being positioned as like a rival character now.
Rival.
Yes. There's a lot of talk in these episodes about rivals, like what a rival should be, and Minami is thrilled that Yoshida is like is gunning for the ace pitcher spot because she's like, yes, now Tatsuya will finally have to take things seriously. Of course, she's totally overestimating Tatsuya in thinking this because he's the sort of guy who just ditches practice saying that he's going to go run, which he is doing, but maybe not every time.
He misses saving the girls from running,
and leaving her boyfriend or whatever it is that guy is. He's not important, so he can just drown.
I wonder where the bike was. Is it like sinking under the bottom of the lake?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't think about the bike. I mean, the bike's heavy enough that even if it skidded down the slope there, it probably wouldn't continue on into the ground kind of levels off before the river. So the bike's probably safe, but
but the boyfriend.
The boyfriend maybe not so safe. I really like that the explanation, Yuka's explanation to Harada for what happened to him. He got hit in the chin
by
a rock that got dropped off of the top of the school building. And then Harada, when he hears that, he's thinking about how that's like physically impossible. It's interesting whenever he gets puzzled by something because he's like such a big giant lumbering character. Whenever he's thinking about something, he's like,
Naruhodo. And then later on, when he smacked the guys, Nita just lived like a big of rocks.
Right, Yuka.
Yuka. And I remember she remarked something that really funny, but
what does she say? She says something like, "It's so unfortunate."
So unfortunate. There's something that really funny.
Yeah. Well, she says it twice. Once after Tatsuya knocks him out, and then once again after Harada knocks him out. But I think the funniest thing is the visual comedy where she gets a much bigger rock for the second time because the injury that Harada has inflicted on him is so much bigger. So she's got to get a bigger rock, and she's like struggling to bring it over. That's pretty funny.
All right, she served as a good comic relief for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, the show's not so sad or dramatic right now that it needs a lot of comic relief, but it is. Mm-hmm. It is still a comedy. I mean, pretty much.
And from time to time, we can still see like the uh, like the image of Kazuya still lingering around.
Hmm.
Like I remember when Tatsuya lose for the against Nishimura, he doesn't show it, but like at night he couldn't sleep, and he said um to Kazuya, the dead Kazuya, that he frustrated by the loss.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that scene I remember. He dreams about it, the pitch, the fourth ball that forces in the runner that ends the game, and he wakes up from the dream, and then he hangs over the side of his bunk to look down at where Kazuya used to
Yep,
sleep.
yep, yep, yep.
And in the foreground of that shot is his baseball glove soaked, like his wet baseball glove
Yep.
on a table, as though the water, like the rainwater from that game,
Yep.
is
Hmm.
still like the glove is still soaked.
Yep.
So it's as though like the loss out in the rain is still present
Hmm.
because the glove is still wet. It's like a visual. Like a symbol of his defeat. And as long as the glove is wet, it's still going to be like fresh, and he won't be able to forget about it.
Yep. Yep. So yep, it's still a bitter, but yeah, I still really enjoy the show so far.
Yeah, these were good comedy episodes.
Yep.
Just a
Yep.
lot of funny stuff. People getting beat up, uh, rocks being planted at the site of their unconscious bodies.
Yep.
Um, People pretending to be other people on the
Hmm.
phone and setting up dates to go see porno movies. It was really Nishimura, like the fact that he recovered so quickly from that, and he said, "Oh, I'm glad we have the same taste." After Tatsuya sets him up to go see a
Yeah.
porno with Minami, that was really amusing.
Yep.
Uh, heading towards some more dramatic, not dramatic in the sense of a character dying or a really serious baseball game being played or anything, but like more dramatic stuff, like with um, Yoshida and Tatsuya getting into it over who's going to be the ace
Yep.
pitcher. Um,
Yep.
but I have to imagine the show's going to keep up the comedy,
Yep.
because it is, I think it is mostly a comedy.
Yep.
Um, I don't know. Even during baseball games, there's comedy.
Yeah. That's right. And yep. Let's see. I don't see Yoshida would would dethrone Kazuya Ace being Ace, but as an Ace pitcher, but it could be something that Kazuya have to learn to become more serious to the game. Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I imagine that's like a big part of what his character is going to go through over the next 56 episodes. Um, just getting more serious about baseball. We
Yep.
already have the like the repeating. I don't know if you would call it a motif. Just the repeating scene where he goes out to run and tries to replicate Kazuya's training menu,
Yep. Yep.
but he can only do the running part. So that
Yep.
is a way for the show to like kind of track where he is in his like treatment, his seriousness about baseball,
Yep.
and about
Hmm.
like making Kazuya's dream come true, going to the
Hmm.
Koshien. Um, so as we watch him like become more serious about the game, just episode to episode, we also have that little um, kind of a marker. It's like a way of tracking progress.
Yep. Yeah.
How
That's right.
much of Kazuya's old regiment he's able to complete. So we'll probably see him do the whole thing eventually.
Yep. Alrighty. You have any other note on the show?
I got a bunch of notes, but I think we covered most of it. I know we just want to keep this to about 30 minutes or so, and
Yep.
that's where we are now. So we can leave it off, and we'll do episodes 46 to 50, taking us to the halfway point next time.
Yep. Yep. Next week.
All right.
Alrighty. Have fun, guys, and see you guys next week for more.
See you then. This is the Touchcast, Double Cross Anime's coverage of the 1985 series Touch. which had 101 episodes, and we have almost reached the halfway point because these episodes span from 46 to 50. I guess this is pretty much the halfway point. And we're going to be, talking about this show once every couple of weeks, put up a new episode of the Touchcast, combining some stuff maybe once a month. I don't know. We'll work it out. But we're going to be talking about the episodes that lead up to the midpoint of the series here. A little bit more baseball oriented than last time, I think.
Yep, that's right. So it have the friendly match.
Yeah, like the scrimmage, the practice.
Yep, between Subitex and
Mese.
And Mese, yes. And it ran for a couple of episodes as well. So yeah, it apparently it's big.
Yeah. Well, how many episodes does it run exactly?
I think
so. It's at least 2 full episodes.
Yep.
Yeah, it is long, and I thought it dragged a little bit.
Right. I did feel the same.
It wasn't bad, but it did feel like a little bit of a drag because the Yoshida subplot is just not that good, and in fact the show agrees, so they sent him off to South America in episode 49.
I still don't get it at all because it like the French Touch never intend to have Yoshida as like a true rival to Tachan, because whereas he's devoted himself to to become a worthy rival, like the ice pitcher, the soldiers that like even Tachan or the show itself just doesn't treat him as one. So I don't know. I don't know why he.
Well, it does acknowledge his talent.
Yeah,
like he's just as strong of a pitcher as Tatsuya is, and in fact, he's able to strike out Nita.
Yeah, but I just feel that like why don't you make him as a regular team members, and why you push him as a challenger, and then just like if before the showdown, get him away from like South America to America basically.
I don't know what the idea is there.
Yeah,
he was probably just written into the story as like, because he has a crush on Yuka, Nita's little sister. He was probably written into the story to be like a second love interest for her. So that
it never get nowhere.
Well, no, it doesn't. But maybe that was the idea. And I like knowing just the tiny little bit about the manga industry that I do. I know that editors are generally highly involved in how like a plot progresses or what's done with particular characters. When it comes to like serialized long form manga, editors are really influential. So my guess, obviously I don't know any of this for sure, but my speculative guess would be he was written in to be like a half-hearted rival for Tatsuya, and also a love interest for Yuka. The sort of love interest that Adachi loves to write, where it's obvious they have no hope whatsoever and they just get clowned on, kind of. And then his editor was like, "Do you really need this guy in here? Can't we just get rid of him? Like send him to another continent, maybe one in the southern hemisphere." And he was like, "All right, sure, let's just get rid of him."
It's just a big cop out for me. But okay, can you spoil me that he will reappear in later on?
Do you want me to tell you whether he does or does not appear?
Yep.
Okay, he does come back. Yes.
Yay! All right. Because otherwise, it's just a waste of a character,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not as though he's a super great character when he comes back, but he does leave more of a lasting impact, I guess, on the story when he comes back. Right. Like he doesn't become a major character or anything, but he does become like a more significant obstacle for Tatsuya when he returns.
Wow.
I won't tell you when he comes back, but he does come back.
All right.
Oh, spoilers for anybody watching.
That's good to hear, because I just don't want his role to be ended like this, Like he tried a lot. He tried hard to compete with Tatsuya, and Tatsuya just doesn't really give him any attention. And the show itself doesn't really give him any attention either.
Well, it gives him plenty of attention. It just, there's no payoff.
It's just a bitch guy.
Yeah. He's just some guy, and now
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
far, far away from Japan.
And then like to make it worse, like the last thing we see is the like the shocker that his parent moving away. Then we get the next episode that like entirely focus on Minami and Nita,
Right.
and he was written off. He
Yeah.
was just some guys.
He was just some guy. But he'll come back and be a guy. He'll just be a guy, a regular guy.
Yep.
Episode 50 is probably my favorite out of this bunch. I really do like the slice of life stuff.
All right.
I favor that over the athletic stuff. Although there are some baseball games in Touch that I really enjoy, but
Yep.
I like the slice, like the rom-com stuff. I just like rom-coms,
Yeah.
if they're not too stupid, like a little bit of stupidity is fine. And episode 50 is, was it a little stupid? I don't think so. I mean, I kind of like the relationship between Minami and Nita, honestly.
All right. For me personally, like Yuka is growing a lot of me. So
Yeah, she's fun. She's a lot of fun.
yeah.
Because she belongs to like the tsundere archetype.
Yep.
She literally says at one point in these 5 episodes, like, because she's going to Meisei all the time, and Tatsuya's like, don't you ever study? Don't you ever have to like be anywhere or do anything? So she comes over to Meisei at one point during these episodes, and she's like, it's not as though I'm here to see Tatsuya,
Yep.
baka.
She said that several times.
Yeah.
Like
Well, she says it once to his face, but she also says it to Harada, I
Yep.
think, one time. And it's interesting that she finds herself in conversation with Harada so much, because Harada used to be like an acquaintance of Nita's back when they were both delinquents.
I think they know each other then. Harada and Yuka.
Yeah, he recognized her the first time that he saw her. He said,
Yeah,
"Aren't
yeah,
you
yeah.
Nita's little sister?" Pretty sure that he said
Yeah.
that. But so I like Yuka, and I like the fact that she has a little tiny baby crush on Tatsuya, which her brother is aware of and is like not.
Yep.
He does not discourage. He's like, "Oh, so why are you signing up to go to Meisei again?"
Yep.
And she says on her way out the door of his hospital room, "Spy."
Be spy.
She just says spy. That's really cute.
Yeah.
But I mean, so her character is great. But the Nita Minami relationship, like the little flirting that they do in the hospital room where she's like, "Oh, you're sending in a spy. Well, I'm gonna beat you up for that." And he's like, "Oh, wait, no, you can't. I'm still injured. Can't do that. I'm in a hospital." It's just he's pretty smooth.
Yep. He is.
And she obvious. Well, I don't know if it's obvious, but to my mind or to my eye, she seems to have some interest in him.
Yep.
She's always smiling whenever she's around him, and she invites him to come in for a cup of coffee after they come back from like their ruined coffee date when those two thugs are like,
Dickhead.
dickhead. That's right. Oh, weren't we just talking about Dickhead or Memories of Murder? Was that it?
All right.
Old boy.
Yeah.
Boy. Oh, he says that 15 years of being trapped in a prison didn't prepare him for like swear words because he didn't see him on TV. So then he hears somebody call him a dickhead, and then he tries it out on somebody else.
Yeah.
Anyway, that has to do with cinema. Our cinema podcast, Triple Cross Cinema.
I
This is anime now.
think the subtitle that I got is shit fuck.
Shit fuck?
Yep.
No way. Are
From
you
Old
watching?
Boys.
Are you watching the? Oh, on Old Boy. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Old Boys.
Maybe it was shit fuck. I don't remember exactly. It was something with the same cadence as Dickhead.
Yep.
Yeah, but the two dickheads who he beats up like out in the rain, in like the kind of abandoned lot next to the coffee place. Anyway, after all that happens, well, Minami tells him like, you look good. You look good when you're out grocery shopping and when you were beating up those two guys. The word that she uses in Japanese specifically is suteki. Steki. Like you often hear girls, like whenever there's an obvious handsome or cool guy on screen and there's a bunch of girls like watching him do something and like going, "Kya!" It's a big Japanese trope. It happens all the time in touch as well. What they'll often say is steki or suteki, which means like it's
cool.
more than just like you look good. It's like lovely or handsome or hot or attractive. It has that sort of connotation. So she's telling him like you're a hunk, basically, when she says that. So I'm sold, man. Like this as far as the romantic triangle goes, like he's a worthy point on that triangle, I think.
Well,
Tatsuya looking like a big bum in comparison.
I noticed that when Minami like come to Tatsuya house to look for the books, and he was reading some kind of comic. Remember that?
He's reading some kind of comic.
That Tatsuya was just sit there reading some kind of comic, and Minami come up to his bed to take the book. And
well, he puts all those books up there on purpose so that he can look up her skirt.
Yeah, that's right. He actually holding the comic upside down, so he
was he? Yeah.
Actually read it. Yeah.
I seem to recall that like Mix did something similar at one point. Character was reading something upside down because they obviously weren't paying attention to it. It probably had to do with it was probably something along the same lines as well. Like they were actually looking at a girl, and they weren't reading whatever they were, pretending to read. So that's a common theme in this guy's work is voyeurism, I guess. Like there's even the return of the binoculars in these episodes. Because Tatsuya doesn't get to look through them. He's getting all these love letters now, and his friends are like, "Oh, nope, you don't get to look at girls changing with our binoculars because you're such a cool guy now." Poor Tatsuya.
Oh man. It was a lot of fun. And actually, you know what? Just yesterday, last night, I watched a baseball game in real life for the first time of my life and learned about all the rules. And it's actually pretty cool.
You learned about the rules of baseball for the first time in your life? Yesterday?
Like I know I understand about the rule, but not completely everything.
I've been to a lot of baseball games.
It's really big in America, and it's pretty big in Japan, but it's pretty non-existent in Australia. So,
well, there's in Australia they probably play cricket, right?
We play cricket.
Australia used to be an English territory.
We still an English territory.
Still,
we are still Commonwealth.
Yeah, so, but I mean, your government operates independently, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Like you have your own cabinet and House of Parliament and stuff.
Yeah,
but I mean, I know cricket's really big in India. It's really big in Australia because they were English territories, or they are English territories. India is completely independent at this point, I think.
And UK as well.
Right. So, I think of the UK and England as the same thing, and Britain. I think technically they all refer to the same landmass, but politically they might be different terms. I don't know.
Like technically, like United Kingdom, England, and
Ireland,
Britain are different.
Yeah, England and Ireland together, and maybe one other country are the United Kingdom.
Scotland and
is that right?
And Wales.
Okay.
All these.
Interesting. That's good. Good anime discussion.
So it actually, like when you watch it in real life, it's actually pretty cool. And actually something happened yesterday, and I was so lucky that it didn't hit me. A guy who's swinging a bat accidentally just slip out of his hand and to our area in the audience.
Was it an aluminum, like a metal bat, or a wooden bat?
It's a metal bat. It's a real thing, and it just fly over my head, and I didn't really notice it.
Well, you would have gotten hurt more if it was a wooden bat. Those things are
really.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Wow.
Yeah, because in college baseball they use metal bats. In the pros they use wooden bats because it's tougher to swing, but it's also more dense, and so the ball travels farther.
All right, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so wooden bats are what they use in the pros, and you would get brained if you got hit with a wooden bat. Like you would probably die. But but a metal bat. I mean, maybe you die, but you'd be more likely to
Wow.
live, I think, because they're aluminum, so it's a real lightweight metal, and it's not it's not real
All
thick
right.
in the center. Anyway,
Jeez,
yeah,
but
glad you're okay, and
yeah,
hopefully nobody else got hurt either.
nobody got hurt, but it was
Okay.
so lucky that no one was sitting there at the time, and it was just like inches away from my head, and
Wow.
I didn't notice it until like it glanced behind me.
Yikes.
Yes, yeah, and the guy was just like, "Oops, sorry guys."
Sorry, you almost died.
I I went with my mom, and my mom was so mad. She was like,
Yeah.
you know
Well,
it.
of course she was so mad because someone almost killed her baby boy. You know.
Oh my god, that's so funny. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's wow.
yeah,
Okay, well, so now you have some
baseball.
real hands-on or almost heads-on experience with baseball.
That's right. That's right.
Um, and so game could be a little bit more relatable. I don't know.
Yeah, so I appreciate it a bit more. I think.
Well, you're still
uh,
just kind of like a Minami sort of character, just
yeah,
sort of
yeah,
observing and cheering, and like you can
yeah,
record stats as well. When you go to a baseball game, sometimes they give you in the program that you get when you come into the stadium. There's a
yeah, yeah,
space where
yeah,
you can write like the what is it called, the box score, where you
yeah,
write
yeah, yeah.
down like the result of every at bat and stuff. She was doing that for this game, and she was also getting really into the whole Yoshida versus Tatsuya thing. Like
Yep.
she was cheering when Tatsuya when they made the substitution,
Mm.
and Tatsuya got to take the mound. And every time Yoshida would like strike somebody out, she would kind of minimize it. Every time he would mess up, like strike out himself at the plate as a batter, she'd be
Yep.
like, "Oh well, 2 consecutive strikeouts doesn't that's not great."
Yep.
She was
Yep.
so
Yeah.
biased. Like she got, even though she's flirting with Nita, probably because she just finds it fun.
Yep.
She's obviously in Tatsuya's corner. Like she just wants so
Yep.
bad for him to
Yep.
like succeed and make something of himself and find something he's
Yep.
passionate about and take her to the Koshien.
Even I found the conversation between Tatsuya and Minami to be less effective this time around than than before. Um,
You mean the one where she's like,
get
where
me to
she
the
like
question.
earnestly, like repeatedly asks him to
Yep.
take her to the Koshien? Yeah. I
Yep.
think the
Yep.
the implication in this particular version of that conversation is that now like it's clearer. Like she's kind of giving him the go ahead, basically, like to
Yep.
view himself as Kazuya's successor,
Yep.
both on on the baseball field and in terms of
Fulfilling her
their
dreams.
relationship with her.
Yep.
Like she's saying, you're it now.
Yep.
This is on you. This is what I want.
And
And he's not prepared to handle that because he just starts blabbering,
yep. Yep.
But he also does use it as motivation to get the
Yep.
9 consecutive strikeouts that end the game against Sumitek.
You know what Mason like? I think Mason like a really good hitter. Uh,
What? Oh,
Co-
what Meisei is lacking. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
Kotaro is supposed to be that character because he bats cleanup.
yeah, but
In baseball, I guess you didn't really know the rules of baseball. You've already understood it, I'm sure, just from
yeah,
watching. But typically in baseball, the person who bats in the number 4 spot is the
yeah,
cleanup hitter. Like the
clean up.
goal is somewhere during your first 3 at bats, you want to get somebody on base,
Yep,
and then you'll have like let's say 2 outs at the maximum and 1 person on base, and then the cleanup hitter number 4 comes up and
yep,
he's the power hitter, so he tries to drive the ball deep, and the person who's
yep,
on base can score. And
yep, yep, yep,
especially in Japanese baseball has a real emphasis on like get a man on base and then drive them in. Uh,
yep.
American baseball tends
Uh,
to be more individualistic, and
right.
like there will be
Just
multiple
hit.
people on every team
Yep,
who are like swinging for the fences.
yep,
Whereas in Japanese baseball, they really structure their lineup about like they have like one or maybe 2 guys who can hit for power, and everyone else is just fast as hell, and they like
yep.
bunt and steal bases and stuff. No, seriously,
Right.
that's how like that's the Japanese style of baseball. That's how they teach their kids in Little League, and Japanese Little League is huge. Um, And you see, like when you see the scoreboard, the slow pan across the scoreboard, whenever
Yep.
Touch does that or a cross game or whatever, you will often
Yep.
see a lot of zeros and a lot of ones having
Yep.
been put up.
Yep. 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 Yep.
You don't see like a lot of threes and fours, like not a lot of grand slams are being hit. It's
Yep.
just they're
It,
just like, eking out a single run in each inning.
right. 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 Like the one that I saw yesterday was 4-1. So like 5-0. Yep. It's not a lot of score on that one
Right.
either.
Well, I don't know what Australian baseball would be like exactly.
I
What
don't
kind of
think it's that
style?
good.
Yeah, well, probably not. If like one team is amateurish, like especially if they're up against a pitcher who's not at the top of his game,
Yeah.
sometimes like strong offensive teams can just hit for the cycle. Like they can get all 9 batters up at the plate before the other team gets 3 outs, and that's when like that's just a massacre. That's why there's the pity rule. Like whenever
Yep.
some
Yep.
leagues have pity rules. I don't know if Japan definitely does in Little League. I don't know about Pro.
Yep. Yep. The PT rule is that when you get into certain points, so what exactly the point?
It's well, it depends what the scale of the pity rule.
Right.
That I know the MLB in America does not have this at all, but in
Yep.
general, like an example might be if the score is 10-0 at any point, the game is over and the team
Yep.
with 10 wins.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Just to prevent like absolute blowouts. If one team has no shot, just call the game. It's over.
All right. Yep. Alrighty. So yeah, we have a lot of updating between Minami and Nita in episode 50, and yeah, a bit of Yuka and Tatsuya, which I love to see more. And I want to see more from Harada as well. He's
I know he's your favorite.
yep. He just like pop up some other time and just Naruhodo for
Yep. Naruhodo.
love that. Even Kotaro have some had some cool moments actually. So
Well, I don't know if I would describe him like sticking out his tongue and flapping his ears as
it
cool,
is cool.
but he does do that.
Well,
His relationship with Tatsuya has definitely changed
yep.
since the early days of the show, where they were always getting into like physical fights in the hallways at school.
Yep.
Now Minami
Yes.
is viewing him as Kazuya's successor. I know he doesn't want to be viewed as his replacement. And I think it's interesting, like part of his antagonism, obviously he and Nita are rivals on the baseball field. They're rivals for Minami's affection. But I think there's a third aspect to their rivalry, which is that Nita is pushing onto Tatsuya the idea that he is Kazuya's like replacement. He wants to
Yep.
beat Kazuya through Tatsuya, and I think Tatsuya probably resents that.
Yep.
So that just gives him additional motivation to
Beat
beat
him.
to beat him.
Yep.
Um,
I agree with you on that.
So it's kind of interesting that they have like multiple dimensions to their rivalry, and the show is also not making Nita out to be a bad guy. So it's not as though he's a villain. At one point, Harada even says, I can't remember who he's speaking to. I think it's Tatsuya, actually. Tatsuya's like, Minami would never fall in love with some guy who's just like completely superficial. And Harada
Yep.
just says to him, he's not a superficial guy.
Yep.
So that's, I really enjoy and appreciate the fact that the romantic rival and the baseball rival is not just a turd. He's kind of a cool guy.
Yep.
And he has very
But-
cool hair. It's all feathered out at the bottom. He's
Yep.
got kind of
But
like a mullet, and it's like flowing whenever he puts on his baseball helmet. It kind of sculpts his hair into like a perfect shape, fanning out behind him as he walks up to the plate, and all the girls are going like, "Oh my God, he's such a dreamboat."
Yep. But the fact of the matter is that we know how this all going to end.
How do you think it's gonna end?
That's who Minami will be together for sure.
Think so?
Yep.
I mean, it's a pretty safe guess.
Yep. All right.
But she does seem to be getting along pretty well with Nita, and Tatsuya is getting more and more into baseball just for himself and not for
Yep.
anyone else. Even though Minami is obviously, pushing him to take her to the Koshien, and she wants to be a part of his journey. He's also discovering that he wants to do this on his own terms.
Mm-hmm.
So even if he doesn't get the girl in the end, if he, perhaps he loses the girl, but he gets to the Koshien. What do you think about that?
Hmm.
Is that possible?
Hmm.
Could I potentially
Minami,
be spoiling the end of the series right now? You don't know.
Minami. All right. Let's see. Let's wait and see. We only have like 50 more episodes left.
Yeah, only 50, and we're gonna do 5 every 2 weeks,
Yep.
with breaks sometimes when we have special episodes of the podcast. So it'll probably take us until the end of this year or something.
I will remember this conversation so that when the time comes, we will come back to
You
it.
get to see whether I was misdirecting you or
Yep.
misdirecting you in a different way.
Yeah, that's right. We see a little bit of Nishimura as well, but mostly
I actually
as
really
a
enjoyed
comic relief.
him. His bike ride. I love that
Yep.
shot where it's like he's completely, what do you call that, in profile.
Yep.
The camera's like tracking him as he's racing along. It's such an appropriate angle for that
Yep.
scene, because you get to see that it doesn't even matter where he's going. Like he's completely ignorant of where he's going. He's just going fast, and the background is zooming past him.
Yeah.
It's the perfect way to frame that.
And
And he goes to Meisei Shrine.
yep, and we get the reverse shot as well of him. Like he tracking and then he reverse back just to see girls running.
Right. Yeah. Twice for once he stops and he watches the girls run by and they're bloomers.
Yeah.
And then once he actually gets to Meisei, the school, not the shrine, he crashes into something when he looks back
Yep.
at two girls who are
Yep,
talking to
yep.
each other. He's just a complete clown. But
Wow.
it's pretty funny. Like sometimes he's a bit of an annoyance, but most of the time I think he's pretty funny. I thought in episode 47 when he was biking around, he was pretty amusing.
Yep.
And Yuka's like, "Who are you?"
Always.
Yeah.
Like she set up with a lot of guys except for Tatsuya.
Well, of course she knows who he is. He's the main character.
Yeah.
And he's the number one target for
But-
her spying.
Yeah, I think it's actually pretty interesting that she will apply for Meisei the next year. So that means that she gonna be like very close to Tatsuya, and there might be a rivalry between her and Minami.
Could be.
Yep.
She's going to be a first year at the same time that they're third years because they're second years right now. And I mean, it's not the most outrageous plot development in the world because they make a point of saying that Sumitech is a boys only school.
Yeah.
And Meisei is probably close enough, like because the Tatsuya is coming over and visiting their house, and she's always making her way over to Meisei after her school is over. She
Yep.
comes to Meisei and is like, "Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here."
Yeah. Get back to practice.
Yeah, that's right.
She already act like one.
Yes,
act like
exactly.
manager.
She's already acting like the team manager, so you can see where her head's at. Yeah, so I have to imagine that because of that proximity, the fact that she's always making the trek over there, that it's not too far away.
Yeah. All right. So overall, it's a live 5 episodes, but we build up to some triangle,
Yep, square.
square, even square, and
Pentagon.
one of the character just have been written off
Right. But he will return.
ruthlessly, but he
Yeah.
will return.
He does come back. That's the only actual spoiler you're getting.
Nice.
All right, well, I guess since now we have... I didn't put up the Touchcast from 2 weeks ago, but now that I
Yeah.
have this one as well, I'm probably going to combine them and put them up as an episode.
Yep.
Just to
Yep,
hold
yep.
this channel over a little bit before we come back. Like, we're doing our Triple Cross Cinema podcast. We got some noir films coming up in 2 weeks, but the next time you're listening to this, so that means that this video has gone up. So the next time that you hear from us on this channel, Double Cross Anime, will probably be our 2000 to 2002 retrospective. Who I don't even know if that's going to happen because one of us has not been watching a lot of anime from that time period. But you'll hear from us again like within a month or so on this channel, I think.
Yeah, no worries. I tried my best. I still try my best.
Yeah, that's right. Trying your best. That's that's what we do around here.
Yep. All right. So see you guys
in a month.
Yep. When we see you guys.
We're doing our best.